Hello friends, welcome to your channel HARU. Today we will understand about the database management system because we have understand the what is database, and to manage that database means huge amount of data. To manage and monitor that data, we require a management system which is known as the database management system. In the previous lecture, we have studied about the types of database and their relationship perspective between the data. And also we have studied about the database file structure as in the previous lecture. So today we will study about the database management system, as we have listened this word already many times. So DBMS is very important for the perspective of GIS application. So as we know, database is the collection, storage and retrieving of data of huge amount of spatial data for the use of the GIS application. So a computer program that is designed to store and manage large amounts of data, that is the database, and to manage that database, a system is called as the database management system. Because overall objective of DBMS is to allow users to deal with data without needing to know how the data are physically stored and structured in the computer. We have already study about the database that is the centrally controlled. Means we can retrieve the data from the database without storing that data physically in the computer. So this process is to be done with the help of the DBMS. It's not DMBS, actually it's DBMS, database management system. So you can correct it. So this is the overall objective of DMS, to allow user with the data without storing it physically in the computer, and he can use it the data in the computer for the processing in the GIS application. Along with the providing the data with their attributes, it also ensures the security and the interface between the end user and their application. So it also provides the security of the data stored in the database. So there are many functions or features of the DBMS. First of all is the file handling and file management, because it stores huge amount of data in a proper structured manner, and it also helpful for the updating the records, means adding or deleting can be easily with the help of DBMS. Information extraction means retrieving of data from the database. Maintenance of data security and integrity means data should not be misused to the other computer users, and it also helpful for the application building. So these are the functions of the DBMS. Now DBMS is the management system, and database is the storage of the huge amount of data. So for storing the huge amount of data, they require a model, means there are many models in which data are stored, so that data can be retrieved easily for the processing and analysis in the GIS application. So there are many database models, mainly four types. First one is the hierarchical, network data, relational data, object oriented data. And we have discussed already some points about the georelational data model, means relational data model, and another is the object oriented data models. But other two data models are there, hierarchical and network data. So we will study about these data models because these are very important for the exam purpose. As we know, database store the data, huge amount of data, but it is stored in a proper manner, so retrieving of data can be easily or user friendly. So database model, which is the theoretical foundation of a database, and fundamentally determines the manner in which the data can be stored, organized and manipulated in a database system. Means it is very helpful for the database. Models store the data in the database in proper and organized manner, so they can be easily manipulated or updated and retrieved for the user for the GIS application. It therefore defines the infrastructure offered by a particular database system, means in what manner or in what structure the data are stored in the database. So it represented by the database models. So there are different ways known as the database models. The database models are the relational, network, hierarchical, object oriented. But first one we will study about the hierarchical database, in which the data are recorded or organized in the parent-child, means one-to-many relations manner. It is very important feature of the hierarchical data. So we will explain the hierarchical data. But one thing to understand about the hierarchical database model is the parent-child relationship between the data. Means one-to-many relations are there. We will understand it by the diagram. But before that, we have to understand every database model, and we have to take overview of these database model and important features that can be asked in the GATE exam. So similarly, second is the network data, in which the records or data are organized, and they can be classified into record types within pointers linking associated records. Means in network data, the data are stored, but they are not repeated as in case of hierarchical data. Means if they store the data once in the database and they link the data with each other on their logical relationship, as we have studied about the relationship perspective of the database. So in network data, every data is stored once and that data are linked with their relationship basis or their logical relationship. It can also be in the ring pointer type. So we will every point understand after some time. Before that, there are two types of database models. Third one is the relational data. As we know about the relational data, that is the spatial and non-spatial data. Means attribute data are stored separately, but they have some relation between each other, so they can be linked or have the same logical relationship between the data. And fourth one is the object oriented, that are frequently used. So in the object oriented data model, the spatial and non-spatial data are stored uh, together, and they can be uniquely identified as individual objects. Means they have unique idea of the objects, and they are also stored along with their characteristics, means their attributes and operations of the object. So what are these types of four types of database model? First one is the relational, which store the data in the tabular form. Means they store the spatial and non-spatial data different separately, but they have linkage between each other between the data, and they also store the data in the tabular form. So it is a main feature of the relational database. Second one is the network. Network means in this all the data are stored once and they are linked by the arrow linked with the each other to show their logical relationship. And third one is the hierarchical approach, in which there is a parent child relationship. Means it may be parent and it has two children, and this will show parent with these children relationship. Means there is one to many relationships. And most important is the object oriented database model, in which every uh, object has the unique identity. Means their class name and they are stored along with their attributes, and it also stored with their operations. So both spatial and non-spatial data are stored together in case of object oriented database model. So we will explain and study about this type of database model, because these are very important topic for the exam purpose. As we already know that the real world is showed in the data models, but they should have the same logical relationship as in the real world. So these types of database model has the same logical relationship. So there are basically four types of database structures or database models. First one is the hierarchical network. relational, and object oriented. Object oriented is an emerging trend in the GIS, and more research is required for this type of database model. But out of these four types of database model, the most widely used database model is the relational database structure, and object oriented is updated version. In case of relational database structure, we know that spatial and non-spatial data are stored separately and they are linked on their relationship, means they have the logical relationship between the data. So first of all, we will see the hierarchical database structure. In this type of database model, data has the parent-child relationship or one-to-many relationship. So a data may have a multi-layer data with a direct relationship between each layer, similarly to a tree-like structure. So it is also has the structure like a tree. As we see the diagram, this is the simple polygon map that we want to show in the hierarchical database model or the hierarchical database structure. So for this simple polygon map, there is a map that is known as the M. After that, there are two types of polygons, polygon 1 and polygon 2. And after that, polygon 1 is made with the help of the L1, L2, L3 and L4. There are four types of lines, and second polygon are made with the help of L5, L3, L6, L7. So there are another four lines. In this, we will see about the line 3 is common, but it as in line format, and this line L3 is stored two times, as here for the polygon 1 and as here for the polygon 2. Similarly, now these lines are made with the point A and B as L1. So L1 is further classified as A and B. L2 is made with the B and C, so it is also linked with the B and C. Similarly, these are the points features, and L1 to L7 are the line features, and these are the polygon feature, and this is the map. So it shows the parent and it is the child. Similarly, all hierarchical approach has a parent-child relationship and tree-like structure. It is showing as a tree-like structure. So it has the direct relationship between two successive layers. So it is parent-child or one-to-many relationship. There are one and it has been related to all the points. So it is the one-to-many relationship. So in this database structure or database model, the points are stored many, has the repetition, mostly in case of the child phase. So in this approach, means each part of the hierarchy can be reached using a key or criterion, and there is a good correlation between key and associated attribute. Means we can directly find out that polygon 1 is made with the help of L1 to L4 lines, and L1 is made with the help of A and B points. So it has the direct relationship between the successive layers, but it has disadvantage as it stores the same point many times. So we have understand the hierarchical approach, and there are many important points about the hierarchical model, such as it has the tree-like structure and it has the parent and child data segments. So this structure implies that a record can have repeating information. As we have seen, points are repeated and they are stored many times, generally in child data segments. So data in a series of records have a set of fields value attached to it. So it collects the data, all the instances of a specific record together as a record type. As we in the case of relational model, there is a data record in the tabular form. So it is similar to that format. It collects all the information can be linked to each other as in case of tabular form, but it stores the data in the tree-like structure, and if we collect all the instances means their relationship together, then it will form a series of data which is similar to the equivalent of tables in the relational model. So to show that relationship between data, it creates a parent-child relationship. These are 1:n mapping between record types, as we can say that one map is constructed with many points and that are showed at many layers. So we can say that this one point, that is map, can be shown made with the help of many points A, B, C, D, and so many points, that is n number of points. So it has the 1:n mapping between the record types. This is done by using tree like set theory, used in the relational model borrowed from mathematics. For example, an organization might store information about population in a city such as ward name, locality name, street name, house number, street number, residence name. So all these data can be stored about a population in the city. So we are taking another example like for representing the hierarchical model. In this example, we are taking a city population, means population of the city, and it can be shown on the basis of the locality name and ward name, street number, house number, residence name. So these are the another layer. After that, the residence name is can be further classified about their children, and children has some other classification on their basis of name and date of birth. So it has many successive layers. In this case, residents and children data with their name and date of birth represent the parent-child relationship. Resident represent the parent and children data represent the child segment. So if a resident has 4 children, then there would be 4 child segments associated with one resident segment. In hierarchical database, the parent-child relationship is one to many, as we have seen in above diagram. So in the hierarchical model, the links established by the pointer are permanent and cannot be modified. This makes the hierarchical model more rigid and inflexible, causing difficulties in expansion or modification of database. So it is very important line which can be asked in the GATE exam about the hierarchical data model. So if we store the data in the hierarchical data model, so every link means parent and child relationship is very permanent form and cannot be modified. For modification, it requires much time, space, and energy. So mostly it cannot be modified, and it due to this property, hierarchical model is very rigid and inflexible, which causes the difficulty in updating the data or expansion or modification of the databases. So hierarchical model has the easy or user-friendly relationship and approach, but it has the disadvantage as it is more rigid and inflexible, and updating of the data in the hierarchical database model is very difficult. So this hierarchical database model is very old-fashioned and obsolete nowadays. It was popular in late 90s, late 1960s, with the introduction of IBM's means Information Management System, IMS, DBMS through the 1970s. So it is obsolete now. So for making rigid and flexible the updation in the database, there are another database models. Before that, we have to understand what are the advantages and disadvantages of this hierarchical model. So main advantage of hierarchical database is that it is simple and provides easy access through keys defining the hierarchy. So as we see about in the diagram, it is very simple to show the data, and we can easily access the data on their basis of keys. Means if we want to know about the polygon, then we can easily find out with the help of 4 lines L1 to L4, it was made polygon 1. So if we search about a key means polygon 1, then we will find out other 4 lines from which it has been made. Now further it is easy to expand by adding more attribute and formulating new decision rules. So we can easily add on more attribute data, and we can make new decision rules to add on the data, but updating is very difficult in hierarchical model. So success of data retrieval means how important is the data retrieval, which can be done on the basis of prior knowledge of the structure of all possible queries. So it can be successful for data retrieval. And what is the data disadvantage of this? Biggest disadvantage is the repetitive of the data, as mostly in case of child segment. So it requires more space, more time to retrieve the data. Other disadvantages are like it is the rigid and inflexible in nature. So referring to the figure, it can be seen that each pair of points is repeated twice, and that for line L3 the coordinates C and D are repeated 4 times. So we see about these data in which child segment means points C and D are repeated 4 times. So it has the repeated nature. This is simple wastage and cause large redundancy of data in case of large databases. In a hierarchical structure, the access within the database is restricted to path ups and downs the hierarchy levels. So due to repetitive nature, there are large redundancy also, and wastage is very large. Or for processing the data or retrieving the data, it requires more time, energy, everything. It is wasteful. And other disadvantage is that it is restricted to path ups and downs. So it is also important that polygons can be find out with the help of points, but we cannot define the points are subset of which polygon. Means if we take an example of point C, then it is linked with uh, 2 polygons, or we can say it is stored 4 times. So it is very difficult to find uh, up down approach. So in hierarchical model, the data retrieving is from top to down approach, means polygons to points. And we have already seen about other disadvantage as it is uh, the links are permanent and cannot be modified, so it is more rigid and inflexible in nature, and it is very difficult for the expansion and modification of the database. So it has some advantage and some disadvantage which can be asked in the GATE exam. So this is all about the hierarchical database model. Now second one is the network database structure. And in network database structure, another form of this database model is the ring point database structure. So we will discuss about the other 3 types of database model in the next lecture. So if you have any doubt about the hierarchical database, because all the important points have been discussed, and disadvantage and advantage are very useful for the exam purpose. So if you have any doubt, you can comment us, and you can join us on Telegram for the quiz, related quiz and the notes. You can also follow us on the WhatsApp channel, Instagram, Facebook. So please like, share the video, and subscribe the channel, and do the preparation of GATE Geomatics with the HARU Geomatics.